last video I made dressy diamond earrings, and this is what they look like right here. And I promised I would make a bracelet to match, and so I did, and here it is. And this is what they look like together. It's really kind of a pretty set. Zoom out just a little so you can see the whole thing. And I did some clasping with some crystal, and I did an embellishment down the center. And let me put this on real quick and you can see what it looks like on. Now this bracelet is right angle weave and netting, just like the earrings. We start with the same 2 units like we do in the earrings, and then we just do a little bit more of a complicated right angle weave putting it together. It's not hard by any means. It's just that we're doing double units, so sometimes people get a little confused with that. But I think that I have explained it well enough to where you should be able to do it quite easily. This project does take a little bit of time, and it does take quite a few beads, but as you can see, it turns out pretty. So anyway, let's look and see what we need to do this project. For this project, you will need 15O seed beads. I am using a galvanized Toho. It's silver tone seed bead. And then you will need 11O seed beads. I am using a Toho, and it's a metallic bronze. You will need a 6mm round bead. Mine is a Druk, and it's a mauvish color. Now you can use any 6mm round bead you would like. It can be a pearl, a crystal, a fire polish bead, whatever you'd like, as long as it's 6mm round. And then you will need about 60 of these, give or take a few depending upon your length. And if you make it longer, you'll need a few more. If you make it shorter than I'm going to make today, you will need a few less. And then I'm using a 4mm round bead, and I'm going to use a clear crystal for mine. You can use any kind of 4mm round, or even perhaps a bicone would work just fine if you want to use a bicone crystal instead of a round. Now you'll need about 10 of them, maybe a few more, maybe a few less, depending upon the length of your bracelet. I'm going to use for my clasping, I'm going to use a couple of 12mm round crystals. Now these are just a faceted Chinese round crystal, and I'm going to use them for my clasping today. Of course, you can use any kind of clasp you want. You don't have to do it the way I'm going to do it, or you can use buttons, whatever you'd like. I'm just going to use the crystal because I think it's going to complement the crystals that I'm going to put in my bracelet. You will also need a beading needle and 8-pound fire line. I'm using a size 10 English beading needle. You will start with 2 wingspans of 8-pound fire line on your needle. I'm not going to start with that much today, simply so that you don't have to watch me pull the thread through, but that's what you should start with. Now let's go ahead and get started with this project. We are going to start this project exactly like we started our set of earrings that we made for the dressy diamonds. So we're going to pick up a Druk and then 3 11O seed beads, get a little closer, and then a Druk and 3 11O seed beads, a Druk, 3 11O seed beads. Drop these down a little bit. Then I need 1 more Druk and 3 11O seed beads. So you will have on your thread, to start with, you will have 4 Druks with 3 11Os in between. So you'll start with a Druk and end with a set of 3 11O seed beads. And then you will bring them down to the end of your thread. You don't have to leave a long tail for this because our working thread is how we will attach our clasp, our embellishments, everything. So we'll just bring this down, and then we are going to sew back up through all of the beads. So on your tail side, come back through all of the beads that you just put on to your thread, making sure not to miss any of them. Hold on to your tail and your beads and pull them around into a circle like this. And then tie with your tail and your working thread a little knot. Like that. And then we will sew around all of these beads again, just to make sure we have a nice secure base. Our knot isn't going to slip and everything is going to be firm to work with. So go ahead and sew around all of them again. When you get to where your knot is, you will go past it. So I'm going to go through this drook, then I'm going to go past all three of these little 11-ohs, just so I don't have to deal with my knot right away. And then I'm going to go through this drook again, and then through the first two 11-oh seed beads, and exit the seed bead in the center here, just like this. And then I'm going to pull my thread through. Now our thread is coming out this way. We're going to work from this seed bead to the center seed bead over the top of the drook. So we're going to pick up 3 15-oh seed beads onto our needle, and then an 11-oh, and then 3 15-oh seed beads. If they'll get on my needle, there we go. So this is what you will have. You're exiting here, your thread is coming out this direction. So we don't want to cross over the top of the bead this way. We want to go in the same direction of our thread. So we're going to go into this 11-oh. So you're going to go into the center 11-oh and the next set of 11-ohs. Just like this. And pull. Bring it down to the inside of your drooks, and then we will do the same thing over this drook. So we are coming out of the thread, or out of the bead here. We're going to go into this bead over here. We're going to pick up 3 15-oh seed beads, an 11-oh seed bead, and 3 15-oh seed beads, like this. Bring them down and then come into your next 11-oh. I pulled my thread a little tight as I went through these beads. It's a little harder to get through. You don't want any slack, but don't pull it so tight that you can't get through your beads again. Bring them down, push them forward, and then move over to your next drook. We're going to go from this 11-oh to this 11-oh. We're going to pick up 3 15-ohs, an 11-oh, and 3 15-oh seed beads. We're coming out of this one. We are now going to go into the next set of 11-ohs into the center 11-oh. Like this. And then pull your little nets over the top of the drooks. Now we need to go into our last one. So we're coming out here, we're going to go into the one we started in. So we're going to pick up 3 11-oh seed beads, or 3 15-oh seed beads, an 11-oh, and 3 15-oh seed beads, like this. Now we want to go into the bead we started in. Right here, and pull through. Bring our little net forward, And now we are coming out, get this tail out of my way. We're coming out of the bead that we started in right here, and we're right next to these little 11 or 15 seed beads. So we're going to go up into, I don't think this needle has much of a tip on it. That's my problem. We're going to go up into the 15 seed beads right here, and we're going to pull through the 15 O's. And I'm going to change my needle. Be right back. Okay, so we've come up these three little 15 seed beads. We are now going to go into the 11 in the center here. And we're just going to pull our thread through and make sure everything is nice and neat. And draw all of your little nets that you just made into the center here. And back off just a little. And now we're just going to sew through all of the 11 seed beads. So I'm coming out of this one here. I'm going to go the same direction my thread is coming out of into the next 15 seed bead, or 11 seed bead, excuse me. And we're going to draw all of these beads in the center together. By going through each one. Now I'm going to go into the one I started in, and then I'm going to go around them one more time. You can pick up 2 at a time if you'd like. We need to make sure they're nice and secure, drawn tightly together, and nice and neat. So I'm going to sew through them twice. Once you've gone all the way around, go through one more bead just to make sure everything's drawn together, just like this. And then we are coming out of this little bead here. We're just going to crawl up into the 15 seed beads right next to it, right here. So go up all 3 of them here. Pull your thread through. And then we're just going to ignore these 11 O's, and we're going to come up into the drook. Just like this. I'm going to cut this little tail off now. And this is what I have, my first unit. I'm going to build my second unit from here. Now you can refer back to the earring video too if you'd like. But I'm going through the whole process again here also, so you shouldn't actually need to, but if something's confusing, you may want to watch that one too. Now I'm going to add another complete unit here. I'm going to share this bead. So this is a combination of netting. We do the netting in the middle and right angle weave to join the units together. So in order to do my right angle weave, I need to pick up 3 11 seed beads, a drook, 3 11 seed beads, and a drook, and 3 11 seed beads, and another drook, and then 3 more 11 seed beads. So you'll want 3 drooks with 11 seed beads between to start and begin with also. So this is what you'll have on your thread. 3 11-ohs, a drook, 3 11-ohs, a drook, 3 11-ohs, a drook, 3 11-ohs. And we don't need 4 this time, simply because we have 1 already on our unit. So bring these down to the unit you've created. You are exiting here. You are going to go into the opposite side that you're exiting from. So we're going to go in to this drook here. Avoid the 11-ohs on either side. And then pull the unit up and around, just like this. Now we're going to sew through this entire unit just to secure it. So sew through all the beads you just added until you get back to the bead you started in. Okay, so I'm going through my last one. I'm going to go through the droog on my unit right here, just like this. And now I am going to go up into the first two 11-0 seed beads right next to where I'm exiting. And I'm going to exit the second seed bead in the series of 3, like this. And I'm going to begin exactly the same thing. I'm going to put 3 15-0s and 11-0, 3 15-0s, and I'm going to go from this little bead that I'm exiting in this direction, so I'm going to go over to this bead. Make sure that you don't cross over your bead, go in the same direction. Otherwise your netting will lie very strangely. So go into this one, pull, and then bring it to the center. Turn your work and do the same thing again. Pick up 3 15-0 seed beads and 11-0 and 3 15-0 seed beads. You're exiting here. We're going to go into the center bead in the next series of 11-0 seed beads and pull. Bring your net over the top. Make sure everything is nice and tight, and then go to the next series that you're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads and 11-0 and 3 15-0 seed beads, like this. We're coming out of this bead. We're now going to go into the center bead in the next series of 11-0s. It helps to go at an angle. And again, I pulled my beads really tight. I'm just never going to learn. Okay, just like that. Pull them down. And then we're going to go into the one we started in. So we're coming out here. We will pick up 3 15-0 seed beads and 11-0 and 3 15-0 seed beads, like this. We're going to go from exiting this bead over to the one we started in. So we're going to go into the opposite side where we started, right here. Just through the 11-0 and pull. Make sure all your netting is nice and tight. And now we're going to go up. We're coming out of this little 11-0 here. We're going to go up into these 3 15-0s. And if you can grab it, grab the 11-0 too, just like this. And then we're going to join all of the 11-0s together. So we're coming out of this one. We're going to go into the next one, the same direction our thread is exiting. And then to the next one. If you can pick up 2 at a time, you can do that. See? Pull them together. Then go around one more time. Go into the one you started in, and the next one. Pull. And then into the next one, and the one after that. Don't pick up any of your 15-0s. Now, when we're doing this step, we're going to position ourselves for our next unit. Now, in the earrings, this was all we made. And then we went up to this bead and we attached our ear wire. Well, now we don't want to do that. We want to come over to this bead. This is how our bracelet is going to start. We will build this way. So what we're going to do, we're going to build units side by side attached to each other. So we will go over to, we'll sew over to the, from into this bead, and this bead, so that we can exit on either side here and then go up into our droog. So when you're sewing your step, joining your 11 rows together, you want to make sure that you sew over to where you want to be for your next unit. So now I want to go into this little 11 row here, and then I'm going to go ahead and hop up into the 15 row seed beads too. If I can get all three of them. Come here, little bead. There we go. So I've got all three of my 15 rows. I am going to pull my thread through, and then I'm going to come up through this drook. Now, I'm not going to involve either of the 11 rows on either side of the drook. I'm just going to go through the drook, just like this. And this is where I will start my next unit, so that as I'm building this, I'll have double units on either side, and then I'll go to length. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this bead. We're going to do just like we did when we added our second unit. We are going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, back off a little here, 3 11-0 seed beads, and a drook, and 3 11-0 seed beads, and a drook, and 3 11-0 seed beads, and a drook, and then 3 11-0 seed beads. And this is what you will have, just like this. And then we are exiting here, so we're going to come around and go through this drook again on the opposite side. So we're going to come into here, avoiding the 11 O's on either side like this, and then we're going to pull our needle through, and our thread through, and now we have the beginning of our next unit. However, we have to sew through all of these beads we just added to secure them, because they're just floppy and weak, and they're just going to fly around if we don't secure them. Plus, this makes our bracelet stronger to have double thread. So let's just go ahead and sew all the way around our entire unit. And now I'm going to go through my first 3 here and then back into, excuse me, I just flopped my work around. Sorry if that confused you. I'm just coming out of these here. I'm going to go back into the drook right here. And now I need to do my netting. So I need to go into the first 2 11-0 seed beads, exiting the middle seed bead here. And I'm going to put my netting on again. So I will pick up my 3 15-0s and my 11-0 and my 3 15-0s. I'm coming out here. I'm going to go in the same direction as my thread. So I'm going to go over this drook and into the middle 11-0 in my next set of seed beads, like that. And then again we will do the same thing over the next drook. 3 15s, 11, and 3 15s. And then we will go into the middle seed bead in the next series of 11 O's over the top of our drook here, just like this. And we'll pull through, just like that. And then again, 3 11-0, or excuse me, 15-0s and 11-0, and then 3 15-0s. Coming out of this one, we are going to skip over the top of the drook. We're going to go into the next 11-0 in the next series of 11-0s between our drooks. Like this. And now we need to skip over our last one And we will do that and then go into the first 11-0 that we started in. So pick up your 3 15-0 seed beads, your 11-0, 3 15-0s, and then skip over the top of the drook, go into the 11-0 that you started in, like this. Now we are exiting this little 11-0 here. We're going to go into these 3 15-0 seed beads right on top of it. If you can pick up the 11-0 in the peak, do that too, just like this. And then begin to join your 11-0 seed beads together again. So go from 11-0 to 11-0, making sure to begin with the bead in the direction your thread is exiting from the 11-0 that you picked up to start with. And then sew through all of them one more time. Now, once you do that, then you need to sew down so that we can add our next unit here. So you want to make sure that you will be exiting this bead here after you have secured all of your 11-0s in the center. So I'm going to continue sewing. I'm exiting here. I'm going to go round one more time, and then I'm going to go around half of a time again so that I'm in the spot so that I can add my next unit. So basically you're just securing, and then after you secure by going around twice, then you sew to the bead that you want to be closest to your next bead that will be the beginning bead of your next unit. So I'm going to go into this bead right here. I'm going to lay this down so you can see. I'm in this bead here. This is where I want my next unit to be. I will involve this bead and this bead in this unit. So your second unit will always have two beads instead of just one that you're joining. So it'll be a little bit different on this unit when you add your beads. So I'm coming out here. I'm going to sew down into these 3 15-0 seed beads right here. Just like this. And then I'm going to sew up into my drook here. I'm going to turn this direction so you can see what I'm doing. Now, I need to add 2 drooks with seed beads on either side and between them. So what I'm going to, because I only need 2 on this side, since I have 2 already. So I'm going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, then a drook, and then 3 11-0 seed beads, and then a drook, and then, oops, I had 4 on that one, and then 3 more 11-0 seed beads. So this is what I have, just like this. 3 11-0s, a drook, 3 11-0s, a drook, 3 11-0s. Now I'm going to come into this drook right here, and just the drook, not the 11-0s on either side. This is where my original knot was, so it's a little tight, but I can get through. Now I want to make sure I don't pick up this 11-0 seed bead here, right like this, and then I'm going to pull through. Now you can see that I have all of my unit except for my 3 11-0 seed beads between these 2 beads. So now what I need to do is pick up 3 11-0 seed beads. and I'm coming out of this drook, I'm going to go into this one. And now you can see that I have my base of my next unit completed. Now this one's pretty firm because it has 2 beads on either side that have already been secured. So if you want to, you can sew all the way around, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to come up through. I need to get into this 11-0 seed bead so I can start my netting. So I'm going to pick up the first 2 11-0 seed beads right here, just like this, and pull it through. And now I'm going to begin my netting. So I'm going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, an 11-0, and 3 15-0 seed beads. I'm coming out of this 11-0 here. I'm going to go into this one because it is in the direction that I'm exiting with my thread. So let me turn my work a little bit here, and I'm going to go up into this 11-0. Maybe. Let me drop these down, they're in my way. Okay, into this one here. Pull it together. And then we're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads and an 11-0 and 3 15-0 seed beads. And we're coming out of this bead here. We're going to go over the top of the drook and go into the next little center 11-0 seed bead. Pull it together, pull it over the top. And you may find that sewing around this unit and securing it is probably a good idea because it's a little bit floppy. So if you want to sew around it before you do this, then it's probably a good idea. And then pick up 3 more 15-0s, 3 more, and then 11-0, and then 3 more 15-0s, just like this. We're coming out of this 11-0 here. We're going to skip over the drook and go into the next 11-0. And then we're going to do the same thing one more time. 3 15-0 seed beads, an 11-0, and 3 15-0 seed beads. And then we're going to go into the 11-0 that we started in. And drop those down. Pull it through, secure everything, and then we need to come down into the 3 15-0s that we're right next to. So we are exiting this little 11-0 here. We're going to go up into the 3 15-0s, and I'm just going to pick up my next 11-0 too. So we're doing the same thing we always have. We're just coming up through the top 11-0s, and we're going to join all of the top 11-0s together, just like we've done on the other units here. And here you will find that your unit starts to tighten up if you haven't sewn through it to tighten it in the beginning step here. Okay, so now I've gone all the way around once. I'm going to go all the way around one more time. And I will position myself, after I do this, where I want to be for my next unit, which will be right here. And I will show you why in a minute, but I'm going to go all the way around, and then I'm going to come halfway around again until I'm up into this bead, right where I want to be to add my next unit. I'm going to go around, securing. Okay, now I'm coming into this 11-0 right here. I'm going to go up into the 15 O's right above this 11-0. And now you can see, if I put it down, we have 2 complete segments done. So, since we're making double segments, we have 2 done. Now we need to add 2 more up here, or another segment up here with a double unit. So, I am going to come into this drook here, and I'm going to start my next unit. So we will do again what we've done to start our base units, and we will pick up 3. On the first one, it's always going to be 3 sets or 3 drooks with sets of 3 11-0s in between. You'll start with 3 11-0s, you'll pick up a drook, 3 11-0s, and then a drook, and then 3 11-0s, and then a drook, and then one more set of 3 11-0s, because we only have 1 bead to share this time. So this is what you will have. Come through the other side of the drook. And now you will sew around this entire unit and secure it and put on your netting. And we will be back to add the next one. Okay, so I've sewn all the way around my unit, and I've come up through the drook, and I've exited my middle 11-0 seed bead, and this is where I will begin my netting. So go ahead and pick up your 3 15-0s, your 11-0, 3 15-0s, go into this seed bead and do the same thing all the way around. When you get all the way around, go up, secure your middle, sew through it twice, and then position yourself in front of this drook right here, because this is where we will add our next unit, and we will be back to do that. Okay, so I've added my netting. I've sewn around twice, secured myself, or secured the center, not myself, and I'm coming out of this little 11-0 right here because I need to add my unit here. So I sewed until I got to the right little 11-0 right in front of my drook that I want to add my next unit to. And now I am going to go up into the 15-0 seed beads right on top of that little 11-0 here, and I am now going to come down into the drook. Now this time our needle is facing this way, coming out this way. So the first thing we do is add our 3 11-0 seed beads to get to this next drook, because remember, we're going to have 2 in the unit. So you will have to kind of use your senses here and figure out what's next. You know you need 4 in each unit. So if you're coming out this way and you're going to include these 2 beads, the next thing you will do is bridge them together with your 3 11-0 seed beads. So we're going to pick up 3 11-0s, and we're going to go into this drook right here, avoiding the 11-0s on either side, and pull. And now we need to add the rest of the unit, and since we've already got 2 in the unit here, this one and this one, we're going to pick up 3 11-0s, a drook, 3 11-0s, a drook, and 3 11-0s, and then we'll attach to this drook. So let's go ahead and do that. Pick up 3 11-0s, our next 6mm round bead, 3 11-0s, and another 6mm, and 3 11-0s. You know you will always need 3 11-0s between the beads, and you know that you need 4 big beads in each unit. So now we are coming out here. We're going to go into here, right here. Pull through the drook, and then we'll just sew down into these 3 11-0s to connect everything, and into the next drook right here. We will go up into, you can sew all the way around if you want before you start your netting, or you can just go into the next 2, exit the middle seed bead, and then you will begin your netting just like you did before. After you're done with your center section, when you're joining your 3 11-ohs together, you will want to position yourself right in front of this bead, come up the 15 O's, come out this bead here, add another unit, and you will just continue in the fashion we've been doing, adding 2 units together, double units, to make a segment. You will make, depending upon your length, you will want to make, I'm going to make 6 inches, so it is, I believe, 11 units, so I'm going to make 11 segments. I'm going to count them by counting both together, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go all the way in that fashion to 11, and so that I have 11 full double segments. And then I will be back and I will show you the next step. Okay, so I'm back. I have finished my 11 double segments. It measures right at 6 inches. I want my bracelet to be 7.5, maybe 7.25, something like that, inches. So to leave room for my clasping, I have gone to about 6 inches. Now, like I said, you can go more units if you want it longer. You can go less units if you want it shorter. It's completely up to you. Now, I've gone all the way to my last unit. I went through, did all of my, I'm going to turn this over, did all of my joining of my last unit, and now I'm exiting a drook here. And I'm exiting towards the outside of the drook. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my large crystals for my clasping on this side, and then we'll sew through and add our crystals in the middle segments or middle O portions here that we created by putting 2 units together. So we're going to start by picking up 4 15-0 seed beads, and then we will pick up an 11-0, and then we will pick up our large crystal. Drop them down, pick up an 11-0, drop it down. Let me move this over and zoom in a little so you can see what I'm doing. I'm now going to go around. I'm going to just leave this little 11-0 here, do a fringing stitch and go around it like this. Pull all my thread through, make sure that everything's tight. Then I am going to pick up 4 more 15-0 seed beads. Now, first of all, when you come down through your crystal, come through the 11-0 too. On the bottom of it here. I didn't do that, and I need to do that. So we need to come through the 11-0. When you do your fringing stitch, come down through the crystal and then down through the 11-0. Excuse me, I forgot to do that. Just like that. And then we will pick up 4 more 15-0 seed beads. And we will go into the opposite side of the drook that we're working in here. Just like this. And pull. And this will lay really nicely on the end here. Now we're going to sew up through it one more time. So I'm going to come up through these 4 15-0 seed beads. Right here. If they'll let me through again, and then through the 11-0 and back up through the crystal. I'm going to move my 11-0 on top to the side so I can get my needle through. Now you may need to pull it through. These 15-0s get a little tight with a size 10 needle. And then we'll go through this little 11-0 on top here. Go back down through, and then back down through the 11-0 on the bottom, back down through all the 15-0s here. Sorry, got out of frame. Oops. To make sure it's secure, go back through your drook. And now we are going to sew around this entire unit on the outside so we can get over to this one. So we're just going to sew down through these 11 rows right here. You can do that another time too if you feel like you need to secure this more. You can go through it another time. But with those little 15 rows, the more you sew through it, the more likely you're not going to be able to get through it. So now we're just going to go down through these 11 rows on the other side of this drook here. So all I'm doing is sewing outside the outside beads in this entire unit here. Sewing all the way around. Now I'm going to come up these 3 11 rows here and up through the drook here. And now I can get over to this bead. So I'm going to go into these 3 11 rows here. And then I'm going to go through this drook here. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did here. I'm going to pick up 4 15-0 seed beads, an 11-0, and then my crystal. And then I'm going to pick up another 11-0. Just like that. Drop it down. Go around the 11-0. Go through the crystal and the 11-0. And I only have 3 15-0s, so I'm going to start that again. So I'm going to pick up another 15-0. I had 3 15-0s instead of 4, and I don't want it to be lopsided. So I'm going to get another 15-0 on there. Excuse me for that. An 11-0, and then my crystal, and then an 11-0. Drop it back down. And then I'm going to go around my 11-0 into the crystal and the 11-0 on the bottom of the crystal. Pull my thread through. Make sure it's nice and secure. Pick up 4 more of my 15-0s. And then I'm going to sew through the drook on the opposite side. Come through. And then sew one more time completely through. Go through the 15-0s, up the 11-0, through the crystal, around the 11-0, down through the crystal, down through the 11-0, down through these 15-0s on this side, and then through the drook. Exit the drook here. We will have our thread coming out of the drook right here, and we will come back. Okay, so I have secured my little crystal, and I'm coming out of the drook now. And what we're going to do now is start our crystal embellishments in the center where we have these little openings here. So what we need to do is sew to that point. So we're going to go through these 3 11-0s here, this drook, these 3 11-0s, and down through this drook. So we're going to do this. Come up through these 3 11-0s right here. And then we're going to sew through the drook. And then the 3 11-0s on the other side. Just the 3 11-0s. Don't go into the next set of 3 11-0s up here. Just these 3 right here. And pull the needle through. I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can see where I'm at. So now I'm right outside of this little 11-0 here, right past my first unit outside drook. Now I'm going to go into the middle drook right here, and I'm going to exit just outside of the drook, just like this. And I am now going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, a 4mm round crystal, and a 15-0 seed bead, like this. And I am going to go from this drook directly into the drook right across from it. I'm going to go into this one, just like this. Pick it up here. I don't want any 11-0 seed beads on either side. And I'm going to just gently pop that down in there, just like that. And now I'm going to sew up through these three, through the drook, down through these three, so I can get to my next center, where I can add my next crystal. So I'm coming out of the drook, I'm going to go into the 311 seed beads and the drook, like this. And then I'm going to go down into the 311 seed beads on the other side of it, and then down into the middle drook, right here. And I got an 11 we don't want 11 there we go. Just through the drook, just like that. Pick up a 15 seed bead, a 4mm round crystal, or whatever you want to use. You can probably fit a little 4mm bicone in there just fine too. If not, try a 3mm bicone, but I think a 4 should work just fine. You may not need the 15 O's on either side. You may have to adjust, but I would try it with the 15 O's and place it in there and see how it works. And then we're coming out of this drook, we're going to go directly into the next drook, avoiding all the beads on either side, just like that. And now we need to sew up into these 3 11 O's, this drook, and these 3 11 O's to get down to this bead so we can fill in our next hole in the middle here. So we're going to go up these into the drook, into the next 3 right here, down into the drook, pull through, and again pick up a 15 a crystal, and a 15 and we're going to go into this drook right here. Now you're going to continue doing this the entire length of your bracelet. When we get done with the very last one, over here, we'll be exiting either this drook or this drook, depending upon what side we end up in, and we'll be back. Okay, I have added all of my crystals down the center of my bracelet, and I am now coming out of this little drook here after putting my last crystal in, and I am going to sew up these 3 11 seed beads. I'm coming out here, I'm going to just go up these 3 here, and I am going to go into the drook right here, I am now going to pick up 4 15 seed beads and an 11 just like this. Then I'm going to pick up a series of 34 15 seed beads. So put on 4 15 and 11 and 34 or 35 actually 15 seed beads. Now we're just going to come back through the 11 seed bead just like this and pull our thread through, and this will pull the 15 into a loop, and then we will pick up 4 more 15 seed beads. So I have 4 15 and I'm going to go back through the opposite side of the drook. It's like this. And pull. And that's what that should look like. Of course, my little 11 is kind of deformed. Should have picked a better one. So that's what that should look like. Now, you're coming out of the drook, you will sew up through these 4 15 around the entire loop, through the 11 back through these 15 on this side, and then back through the drook, and we'll be back. Okay, so It's my dog. So I've secured my loop here, and I'm coming out of the droog here. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to sew into these 3 11-ohs here. I want to get over to this droog here, and I want to follow my thread path. So I'm going to sew down into this one here. And then I'm going to go into these 3 11-ohs here. I'm going to go up into this droog here. And then I'm going to turn my work so I can get to it a little better. And I am going to go up through these 3. So all I'm doing is just sewing around the outside of the unit so I can get up to my next end droog here without crossing my thread paths. So I'm just going to go up these 2 here. And now I can go into my droog, and I can make my loop again for the other side of my clasp. So we'll do the same thing we did on this side. Pick up 4 15-oh seed beads and 11-oh. 35 15-oh seed beads. Come down through the 11-oh, pick up 4 more 15-oh seed beads, and come through the droog. Sew around the entire thing again, and then you can sew down into your work and tie off, and we'll be back. Okay, so I've made my loop, I've secured it, I've sewn through it, and now I'm coming out of this droog here. I'm going to go down into these 3 little seed beads here, these 3 little 11-ohs, down into the droog here, and then I'm going to go through these 3 seed beads here, oops, pulled a little tight there, and then up through this droog, here, and here I'm going to catch a half hitch knot on the thread bridge underneath my little 11-ohs right here. I'm just going to grab a little knot, right there. Then I'm going to sew back up through here. And you can sew through as much as you want. Make it as secure as you like. And I'm just going to go through a couple more beads here and cut off my thread, as this video is getting rather long. And I know a lot of people don't like long videos, so we'll just end it. So I am going to grab my little scissors. I'm going to leave a little tiny bit of length here. Curl my thread in with my lighter. Just found that that's a really strong way to do it. It just works really nice. And this is what it looks like. And this is what it looks like on my wrist. It's kind of pretty. You can put these wherever you'd like, on the side, underneath, wherever. They'll just move around anyway, but it's fairly secure. Works pretty good. Like I said, you can clasp it any way that you would like. You could use a toggle clasp. Just, bring your beads across and centralize them instead of having 2 separate. Or you could put 2 little tiny toggles or 2 little tiny spring rings, whatever you want. But it turns out kind of pretty and sparkly. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.